Hello, kiddies. Welcome to Dads from the Crypt.
That was sick. When did you guys add that? I've never seen that before.
Sorry, StreamYard, man. Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to the 184th and possibly last episode of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. Tonight joining me is Jody.
Hello.
And Mondo.
We got Jason salty before, 3 seconds into the episode here? Damn.
Hey, don't worry. It's not going to be the last episode. It just might be Jason's last episode. It's fine. It's different.
Why, Jason? Are you dying?
We're auditioning a new host tonight. We have Matt, the Storytime guy, coming back. Welcome.
You know, I wasn't flagging there. I was just trying to strike a pose so you can get my good side. I think that was my bad side. So we have to do this whole thing all over again. Okay, guys, we got to start, run the intro again, and then we'll just do. Hi, everyone.
Hey, how you been?
We don't.
Yeah. Jokes on you. We don't edit.
It's time to edit.
We're keeping that whole shit in.
We'll do it live.
I will pause for 1 second. Your mic did go a little bit hot because I
let me scoop back. It's just because I talk very loud.
Oh,
and my voice will pitch very loud, so I'm gonna scoop that away from myself.
That's perfect.
That's perfect.
I might edit this part out. We'll see.
Sure, maybe. Who knows?
All right, Matt. Before we get into it, what's new with you? It's been a minute.
It's been good. I'm sure I just blew it out right now when I said very loudly at like 100 million decibels. It's been good. Finished my comic book. They finished issue 1. Issue 2 is about to get inked. It's really cool to see something I wrote come to life, especially when it's like people that are doing a really good job and actually care. And so seeing that stuff is great. The manga / anime I'm working on, they just finished the test readers for it. And so after like a 7th month hiatus from the writers, they're bringing us back. So that's nice because that's another job. In the instances like that where you like work as a writing staff, you're like, are you guys going to call me back? Is this what's going on? And they're like, we'll keep you updated. And there's 7 months of silence.
Right.
I'm going to Epic Universe. So I'll tell you that.
All right. Tell me about the comic book.
The what?
The comic book.
Oh yeah, so the comic book I'm doing, it's Black Sands Entertainment. They're the biggest black-owned comic book publishing company in the world. They started off with doing like Egyptian fantasy kind of stuff, like anime kind of stuff. And then he reached out to me because of a video I made that was like, this is a real life Aztec story that's like Lion King. Like a young prince, his dad gets murdered, and then he goes on the run, and then he raises up an army, and he ends up killing the guy who killed his father. And so I told the story, I was like, this would be a really sick story, and the guy saw that, and he's like, can you turn that into like a 4-issue story? And I did, and honestly, my only regret is that I wish I would have asked for more issues, because I feel like there was so much more story to tell. And yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. That was my first ever comic book I ever wrote, and I learned that, a lot of people write it like screenplays now. So it was done in Final Draft and stuff, and it's up to the artist to dictate what goes on each page. I wrote 20 pages, and it ended up being like 36 pages long in the comic. So it's really interesting to kind of like go for this, because I love comic books. I mean, I think we all agree we all love comic books, but to actually like see how they're made and stuff, it's really weird and surreal, and seeing like, hey, what about this? What about this? Do you like this? Do you want this? And you try not to be a burden, because you know that like when people draw shit, it's not quick and easy, So like, I feel bad to be like, hey, you fucked up on this. I need you to change this. But I don't want to be like, but at the same time, it's like, it's my face. It's my name on this. I got to make sure it's the best. So there's this really, unique line of trying to make sure that the person you're working with, the team, is good. And at the same time, you're not overstepping on stuff. And I'm hoping it leads to more stuff. I'm hoping when that comic gets released and this manga gets released, I can start doing more stuff. Start submitting more stuff. I want to do horror because the 2 things I've worked on are both Aztec, which I love Aztec stuff. Latino hair, but there's so much more stuff that I want to work on. There's so many studios I want to work with. And I've submitted stuff to a film studio. So that was interesting to go through that whole process of getting a script and setting it in visual book and then them going cool and then just getting ghosted. And you're like, oh, okay, is that gonna be what? I auditioned. I don't know if you guys heard about the new movie that Emma Stone is in. It's got like a really weird name. But it's what is it called? I don't know. She's just got announced that she's doing this movie where these two guys kidnap her. I think it's like Jesse Plemons or something. The guy that looks like a ripoff Matt Damon. He's in it. He's the main character. They her and all this stuff, and they shave her head. So I actually auditioned for that movie like months ago. Not as a main character. There's a role where there's like they run into a fax machine place, and like the guy's there, and that's what if I would have played like the little clerk. And they're like, hey, we can't say who's in this movie or who's directing this movie. We're going to fly to London if you say yeah. It's like, so get ready for that and all the stuff. And then I did my tape and then they were like, cool. And they ghosted me. So clearly I didn't get it. But
it's called Bugonia.
Bugonia. Yeah. So they told me the plot of that. Yeah, they told me the plot of that when I first auditioned. They're like, so they think this guy's an alien. I honestly, I don't know if that's in the Wikipedia summary yet. But anyways, and what they told me, they're like, hey, like this two guys think that the CEO is like an alien and they kidnap her and blah. And they were explaining the plot and I was like, this sounds insane. Like I thought it was like a little indie thing. I was like, sure, audition. I auditioned for another movie after. That's like this it's that one's an actual indie horror. I don't know how much I can say about it. They never made me sign an NDA. But they're just like, hey, we want you to be like an angry conservative. Like just be like the most like POS backwards guy, like be a content creator who's just like, you're angry because this lesbian woman is remaking this old, like it's pretty much like, hey, what if a lesbian remade Friday the 13th as a lesbian horror? So like really like just like think of all the awful things people would say. I'm like, I got you. I hear those comments to me, like I got you. And they're like, hey, we're actually going to write you a whole scene because you did such a phenomenal job that you're like 3 minutes, you're 30 seconds of screen time. We want to extend it to like a whole bit. So I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. So yeah, it's honestly fun to do all this random shit. Like I said, the Epic Universe is flying me out to Florida. I really want to see that. Yeah, I was really excited for it. My kids are really excited for it. We're going to see if my kids can go. Right now, they're like, it's just you, and we'll tell you later if your family can go. I'm like, when's later? And they're like, could be a week, could be a month. We don't know. And I'm like, okay, so fucking, yeah. But it's no, life's really good, and
I'll be your handler. How about that?
I know, right? I bet people be like, hey, so if you get invited to Epic Universe, can I go? And I'm like, well, my wife would probably go first, and if I got more than that, probably my kid. I was like, but if I get like more than that, sure. But like, they're also paying for everything, which I was like, y'all think I'm that important? Shit, that's crazy. I was literally saving up money to like pay for my airfare.
I'll be your manservant. How about that?
But no, yeah, it's honestly really cool, and I love doing this shit though. Like I love doing podcast shit too with you guys. I miss you guys. Love talking about this stuff with you guys. And you guys told me about this movie. I don't even. I didn't. I was like, this is the most like because it does seem. Yeah. Well, let
me rewind it for a second. So when you've been doing a podcast for 3 years, you talk a lot about different movies. And so at some point, someone asked us like what our least favorite movie is, and my answer is Nothing But Trouble. I remember very distinctly watching it with my parents, and they turned it off halfway through. That's how much they hated it. And I tried watching it later because like, why? What's so bad?
You were a little kid, right?
Yeah, 91. I was like 10.
I was born in 91. I think this movie came out. I was like 8 months old.
And I remember later I tried watching it. I'm like, no, this movie is awful. And then like every 10 years I try to watch this just to see if it really is as bad as I remember it. And every time it reaffirms my belief that this
10-year-old me was right. God damn it.
One of the worst movies of all time. So it's become a part of Dad's from the Crypt lore. And because it's been over 10 years that one day I'd watch the movie for the podcast, and tonight's the night.
I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna fight. I'm just gonna say this right now. Like from the beginning, we're gonna fight.
Yeah, Jason's parents.
I've loved this movie since I was 14. So let's go.
I feel like Jason's parents probably also hated fun, so maybe that's all this kind of ties
in.
There are
2 movies I remember distinctly them turning off halfway through. Is this one and Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, confirmed.
God.
Jason's parents hate fun.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I kind of agree with him on that. Oh,
I haven't seen that movie since I was a little kid. I don't remember anything about it. So
I just saw the budget for this. That's insane.
But we'll get
$45
into it.
million. Okay, okay. I was gonna say that's crazy for the 90s. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I will say I understand how it flopped at the box office because they spent too much money making it. Like there was no way they were going to make their money back on this movie. But as far as actual quality, we'll get into that in a minute.
What an all-star cast! How much do you think he had to blackmail these people into doing it? This is like a case of like Whoopi Goldberg with the T-Rex.
These are all his friends.
Well, hold on, let's get into it.
Sorry.
We're talking Nothing But Trouble, February 15th, 1991. Jody, please explain this movie to me, please.
It's easy to understand. It is not a complicated plot. But hang on, but before we get into the actual, I pulled up Rotten Tomatoes because I want to give a little taste of what we're getting into here. The Rotten Tomatoes critic consensus is there's nothing good in Nothing But Trouble, a grotesque comedy that's likely to have make audiences ill more than make them laugh.
Who's this?
Brand of anti-authoritism. Nothing But Trouble is a fascination of genuine atrocity. I like that one because it sounds like this movie is comparable to the Holocaust, according to this.
Okay, that's a tad far even for me.
But atrocity is not a thing you say about something unless it's like literally earth-changing evil.
It's like genocide to my sanity. Like, okay, chill out.
Okay.
Supposedly Roger Ebert. Roger Ebert went to a screening and hated it so much he refused to actually review it. And there were kids that were talking through it, and he went up to them and asked them to talk louder so he doesn't have to listen to the movie.
He reviewed it on the show. I watched the clip earlier today.
But didn't Roger Ebert also hate The Thing?
He hated
fun. There's a few movies. He was like, I think these suck. I think Forrest Gump is one of them that he said he didn't
like horror in general. And this movie we're about to talk about is horror adjacent, I think. It's definitely made for horror people like us. This is a movie for us. This is a gift from Dan Akroyd to us. And it ruined his directing career. Let's get into the plot. All right.
I like you snuck that one at the end. Ruined his fucking life.
But
it kind of did. He never really recovered from this movie.
It skyrocketed his liquor store appearances for his vodka brand. So
that's right.
You mean his personal appearances at liquor stores to drink his worries away?
Well, we will talk about Dan Akroyd in detail in just a moment. But let's start with what this movie's about. Chevy Chase plays a financial publisher named Chris Thorne, who meets a lawyer named Diane Lightson, played by Demi Moore. And he's going to escort her to Atlantic City to meet with a client. He's got a couple other of his clients who he calls Brazilianaires, two very rich Brazilian folks who ride with them. And as they are on this ride down the Jersey Turnpike, which is a very boring, drab stretch of road, they say, hey, we brought a picnic. Let's take a side road and go have a little fun and enjoy a picnic together. And so they get off the main road and end up on a little road taking them to the quaint little town of Vulcanvania. And in Vulcanvania, they run a stop sign, or not run a stop sign. They just don't come to a complete stop. And because of that, the local policeman, played by John Candy, pursues them. They have a fast car. They try to go faster and get away from him, but he has an even faster car, and they get caught and brought before the local judge. And that judge is played by Dan Akroyd. Dan Akroyd is a 106-year-old man, Judge Alvin Volkenheiser. He hears them out. He finds out that Chevy Chase's character is a financial publisher or whatever. He just hears the word financial, calls him a banker for the rest of the movie, and drops them through a trapdoor in the floor into a little room to hold them. Meanwhile, another group of people end up in the same courtroom, and they're all drunk and on drugs and laughing at the judge. And he pushes a different button, and instead of a trapdoor, it puts them on a conveyor belt that takes them outside to a roller coaster that drops them in the middle of a contraption called Mr. Bone Stripper that tears all of their flesh away and shoots their bones out the other end. So this is apparently a thing that happens a lot because there's a lot of bones in this giant junkyard of a place. We're just getting started.
I'm watching it. It's by the way, it's on YouTube for free. I have it on 2x speed. I'm skipping through this, and I'm literally like skipping to the scenes. And yeah, oh my god, you're accurately describing it, which is horrifying. Like when you say bone peels, the literally it's like dry bones shot out of a little like.
Oh yeah, no, they're.
It's not like.
This is a PG-13 movie. The bones that come out are clean. There's no guts on them. There's no blood in this movie. This is a bloodless.
He has like
movie.
the police officer has a little Batmobile too that has like little switches that open and close doors on the road.
All right,
sorry.
So
continue.
After that, one group of people goes into the bone stripper. Our main people are invited to dinner. And we find out that the judge has a long-standing grudge against bankers because the bankers ripped off the community, mined the ground, and now there is like eternal fire in the mines underneath, and it causes earthquakes, and the town is destroyed because of it. This is a real thing, by the way. That happens. Like that's not a thing for the movie. There are places that have eternal fire underground in the mines because capitalism.
I heard a song about
anyway.
This.
They sit down, and we find out the judge has an engineering degree because there's all kinds of contraptions around. Like the judge is lowered down from the ceiling to the table. The food is passed around by a little choo-choo train that goes around the table. They eat some gross-looking sausage, and Dan Akroyd eats them as the old man with his shaky hands, and the sausage is shaking all over the place. And it's just a weird scene. But the two Brazilians, they have enough of this. Yes.
Question real quick, because I'm watching this as you're describing it. Is John Candy playing the maid and the police officer?
Yes.
Or are they two different characters?
Yeah.
Two different characters. We're getting to them.
Oh, these balloons.
I don't know what just happened.
Get out of here. So the maid is not the police officer.
This is not the maid. Okay. So this character is John Candy's sister, his twin sister in the movie, Alonia, also played by John Candy, who was struck mute as a child. And so she is a giant John Candy-sized woman who cannot speak.
Second question. I'm sorry, because I feel like if people are watching this,
I like this idea of you just kind of catching up to the movie as we're talking about it.
I watched the trailer, but like it doesn't do the movie even on this because like. Okay, so second question. What's with all the medals on Dan Akroyd, the judge's chest? What's with all the medals? Do they explain that?
He fought in like every war because he mentions
fought in World War
like
I.
in France.
Well,
Like he's 100 and
they talk about how his ancestors like fled to Argentina from Germany, and they definitely bring this up.
Well, he was there before Nazi time. Like he fought in World War I.
Okay.
On which side?
Yeah.
No, he was in the American side.
Okay.
I mean, if his ancestors fled to Argentina, that means he was on the wrong side in one of the wars.
Maybe. I did love that they're eating hot dogs with bread, and I was seeing online people were like, "Who does that?" I'm like, "Well, some people didn't grow up poor." Because
hot dogs, exactly. We got the huevos con weenies,
Yes.
I would say if someone's never had a hot dog wrapped up in a piece of white bread, I'm not sure if I can trust them personally.
Oh, dude, exactly, right? You even toast it. Sorry, continue.
So anyway, the Brazilians escape. And they run into John Candy's character, and they're super rich, and so they basically are like, "Hey, why don't we just leave, and you can come with us, and we'll give you lots of money." And so John Candy, the cop, is gone, but John Candy, the large woman, is around for the rest of the movie. So through a series of trick hallways, like when they leave, Chevy Chase and Demi Moore also attempt to leave, and they end up through a bunch of booby traps and crazy contraptions. They end up in this room filled with IDs and news clippings that let them know this has been going on since the 1890s. And basically, anyone who gets brought before the judge in this town, his father and his father all the way back, if they get brought before the judge for a minor infraction, most of the time they get the death penalty and they go and are killed right there.
Including Jimmy Hoffa, apparently.
Including Jimmy Hoffa, yes. Lots of famous people.
And a bus full of Hare Krishnas.
Yes, a bus full of Hare Krishnas. And it's at this point while they are up in the top. Wait, hang on. I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Yes, okay, I am. Okay, so they go down a slide that splits off in two different directions. Demi Moore ends up in the junkyard. Chevy Chase ends up like in the wall of the judge's room. Demi Moore meets the judge's two grandsons, Bobo and Lil Devil, who are giant, mutated, sweaty, dirty man baby creatures. They're adult size, but they have big old bellies that flop around everywhere, and they're covered in sweat, and they wear diapers, and they have like a little twirl of hair on top of their head.
Like the makeup's actually really cool.
It's really good. Yeah, this is.
And one of them
we
is
mentioned the
played by-
budget. They spent too much
Both of
money
them
on this.
are played by.
Yeah, Chevy Chase
No.
plays one of them, and then there's a
Oh,
guy
sorry.
who I don't recognize playing.
Wait,
the other one.
no, Dan Akroyd plays the other one.
Oh,
Dan Akroyd.
sorry, Dan Akroyd plays one of them. He plays the judge, and I think Lil
There's no
Devil.
way Chevy Chase would put on that much.
Oh,
No.
and you didn't bring it up. The judge has an extension on his nose that is a penis.
I just watched that. That's why I was gasping. in
I was
horror.
just about to say he's trapped in the wall, and while he's in the wall, he watches as the judge takes off his hair, removes his nose, and then takes off his upper teeth to get ready for bed.
And his leg.
Why would you-
And his leg.
And his leg, and his leg. Yeah,
But
that's
why
right.
would you disguise your nose as a penis? I feel it's much better nose designs than a dick.
I'm going with in Vulcanvania. There are not a lot of talented sculptors to make a new nose for you.
Hold on a second though. I feel like it'd be easier to make a new nose that didn't have a fucking head on it, as opposed to one that was like a circumcised dick. I don't know. I'm just saying.
The thing
I'm
in this
thinking
movie,
I think it's a power move.
well, in this movie too, that changes. Like his nose changes at different times. There's
Yeah.
scenes where it very much
true.
looks like something, and there are other scenes that's just kind of lumpy. So like they're intentionally playing with it. But
He's a
anyway,
shower, not a grower.
so he's in the wall. He tries to escape, and he runs into Eldonia, and because he touches her as he runs into her, the judge says, "It's our policy. You got to marry her now." And so now Chevy Chase is supposed to marry Eldonia. Meanwhile, this is where it gets good. Meanwhile, the judge, they bring in another group of travelers who have been caught for speeding, and it is the entire band, Digital Underground, which is the Bay Area hip hop group responsible for the Humpty Dance and launching the career of Tupac Shakur, who is in this freaking movie. Tupac is all over this scene. He is standing in the background. He's like 18 looking years old. And this is Tupac's movie debut. Also, the first song he ever rapped on, Digital Underground's same song, which is played in this movie when the judge says, "Are you really musicians?" They say, "Yeah." And they play the song, and the judge joins in on the organ. Like the music video for this song includes all of these scenes. Like the actual MTV music video includes all this stuff with the judge in it.
I thought it was interesting that Tupac had his New York shirt on because we all know Tupac was a West Coast rapper.
He became a West Coast rapper. He started out in New York because he and Biggie used to hang out. Just a little note
That's
for
true.
you there.
That's
All right. So he likes Digital Underground. He likes their music. He's going to let him go. But he says, first, can you provide the wedding music for this wedding that's about to happen? And so Digital Underground does the music dun, 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 with like a hip hop beat behind it. And that's when Eldonia comes out. They say their vows to one another, but then he tries to escape by asking Digital Underground to save him. They don't realize what kind of trouble he's actually in, so they just leave. So I have to catch up with myself. So they leave, and when he tries to get help, the judge feeds him into the Mr. Bone stripper machine, but instead of going all the way through, the machine breaks and he escapes into the junkyard. To bring him back, Lil Devil and Bobo take Demi Moore's character and they put her on a slab with these like 3 guillotines that are about to drop from it, and it will cut her into multiple pieces. They say, you know, if we don't hear from you, we're going to chop her up. And she tells him to run, but then she changes her mind. He distracts them with an explosion by blowing up some barrels, and they escape. And they get back into the real city nearby, and they get the police, and they tell them everything that's happened. And the police bring a whole team out there, and they say, we need you to come with us to make sure that you can identify them. They say, okay. And so they're up on the porch getting ready to try to draw the judge out. There's a whole huge team of policemen behind him. And when the judge comes out, all of the police go, "Hi, judge," because they all like what he's doing. They all wish they can murder people indiscriminately, but they don't get to, but he does. And so they're all very on board with everything happening in Vulcanvania. And just as they're about to take Chevy Chase and Demi Moore again, the underground fires start causing everything to explode. Literally, the entire set is exploding. The house collapses into a hole, and they manage to get away. Our final scene, two final scenes. One is a quick shot in Brazil where John Candy is hanging out with the Brazilians. They're happy. He's in love with the woman, and he's also their head of security. So everything's good there in their world. Meanwhile, they're watching TV. Chevy Chase and Demi Moore are in a hotel room. He's watching TV when he sees a news report about the fires that broke out in the mines. And they said, let's interview this resident. And it's the judge. And he says, "Oh no, we're gonna go and we're gonna live with my son-in-law." And he holds up Chevy Chase's ID that he took earlier and says, "We're coming to your house." And at that point, we literally get a cartoon ending where it's like a whoop sound, and he runs through the wall, leaving a silhouette of himself like he was friggin' Bugs Bunny. I don't understand what's up with the ending, but everything else up until that point, I think, is very creative and fun.
Jason, why don't you start us?
Yeah, let's Jason talk first this time. We always talk first.
Yeah, having to watch that movie and then sit there and listen to you recap the entire thing is.
Jason was like getting distressed in the middle of my recap, which again,
I ordered one of those smart rings that to like test your blood pressure or your blood, your heart rate and stuff. I wish I had it to see and watch it over that time. Yeah, this movie is obnoxious and abrasive, and if anything, it's like I've never thought I'd say this movie. It's like overproduced. Like not everything needs to have like some special thing it does. And this movie, like the bed, like turns around, the table like comes apart, and the little chain comes up. It's like everything has some gadget or gizmo attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And
called whimsy.
It's called fun,
playfulness.
But it's too much. It's too damn much. It's like they couldn't say no to anything, and everyone was able to give an idea, and sometimes you need to pull back a little bit.
No. I don't think this was everyone giving an idea. I think this is a peek into Dan Akroyd's brain, and I think this is Dan Akroyd's unfiltered brain through this entire movie, and that's why I love it.
And okay. And then we have Chevy Chase, who can't end a scene without giving a quip. Every damn scene he's in, he has to have the last word.
He's the Dennis Miller in this movie. I'll give you that.
No, and I was going to make this is very much a good comparison, I think, to Tales from the Crypt, Bordello Blood, where there's like some kernel of a script that someone had, and then it just kind of got pushed through a system. And once the wheels started going, no one could stop it and say no. The problem is on that movie. They didn't have as much time and money as they wanted. On this one, they had too much time and maybe not too much time, but they had way too much money. Because again, they spent $40 million on this, and adjusted for inflation today, that would be $75 million. And it only made $8.5 million worldwide at the time. Now, obviously, you have a big cast. Now, Dan Akroyd didn't want to direct this. They tried to get John Landis and John Hughes and a bunch of other people. No one would do it, so he said, "Fine, I'll do it."
Smart people.
Yeah. Well, again, in the alternate universe, maybe a different director could make something out of this.
Dude,
but
who could have directed this? Would have been Toby Hooper.
Yeah. No, this is again.
I mean, there's definitely
very much
chainsaw in there.
Yeah.
I found the dinner scene in this movie more disturbing than Texas Chainsaw.
Was it the hot dogs with white bread, Jason? Did you guys always have hot dog buns on hand when you were a kid?
It was just like everything was just revolting and just like it was too damn much. Where's I going? Oh, so yeah, the Chevy Chase of it. I think. Well, so obviously Dan Akroyd's getting his friends, John Candy, Chevy Chase, and they all think he's doing him a solid. But I think it's one of those things where no one can say no. That's probably not a great idea because everyone's doing it for a friend. And I think in these kind of collaborations, someone needs to step in and say, "Hey, this isn't quite working." And Chevy Chase said he didn't like the script, but he never told anyone. He just thought he could improv his way through it.
That sounds like some Chevy Chase shit because he's not a good human being.
No, he's not at all. Okay. In fairness to Dan Akroyd, he only wanted to play the judge character. Then he had to direct. Then nobody wanted to play one of the mutant babies, so he had to do that. So I can understand the stress of having to play two heavily prosthetic characters and direct. He's having to wear the prosthetics as he's directing. It's a lot. I can totally understand that. Chevy Chase, fuck that guy. John Candy, he's doing his friend a solid. He's always a delight. But again, his character and the two Brazilians don't really factor into anything. You cut them out of this movie.
Yeah.
Really...
Also, neither of them are actually Brazilian actors.
Yeah.
It was the 90s.
Yeah.
That's
I wouldn't say that.
But like
in the 90s.
Why make them Brazilian then?
You have your hand.
I think it was mainly to make the joke Brazilianaires repeatedly. I think it was mainly just so you could say that.
Saying this ditch smelled like Sao Paulo. I'm like, okay.
I feel like a Brazilianaire is just someone who has no body hair. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The one person who I enjoy this movie is actually Demi Moore. I think she's actually really good in this.
I hate her hair in this, but goddamn, Demi Moore. Demi Moore is and was a fox. Like she's still and
she's just so charismatic.
She's actually really great. I think she's probably the best actor, I guess, in the whole movie.
Probably so. She's the only real actor. I mean, for the most part, you got a bunch of comedians.
Yeah, you're right.
Comedians are actors.
Candy.
Yeah, but you're not wrong. But that was
comedians.
That was large.
These are SNL alums. These are SCTV alums. Like they're not.
Are you besmirching the name of Daniel Baldwin?
Okay, I don't think he's acting though. He just like rolled by the set and they're like, he was come in here, just be yourself.
He thought he was really getting arrested.
Yeah, he's like, oh, not again. Like nothing in this plot follows any logic. Nothing. Again, I don't need a plot to be fully airtight, but just every decision I feel was just like the wrong decision. I mean, in almost every aspect in this movie. And again, like I think with Demon Knight, there's still a bit of whimsy, a little bit of fun, and also it went for the R rating. They gave it that, so at least you could have boobs and blood and gore and that kind of like
this movie needed
boobs and blood
rating.
Well, I really don't think so though, because I watched this as a 14-year-old. This movie was made for 14-year-olds.
Are you saying 14-year-old you wouldn't have wanted to watch a movie with more boobs and blood?
I mean,
I will disagree with you on that. I know 14-year-old you. He'd have been like.
I'm saying movies. A movie that I was allowed to watch at 14.
I was gonna say when your father's a pastor and you're 14, I think it's a different scale.
There you go. My parents didn't care what I watched.
Yes, I didn't really get into horror until I was like 17, 18, and I watched this. This was.
If there had been boobs and blood, my parents would still objected to how obnoxious this movie was and not cared about the nudity.
Well, here's an also thing I want to point out. So we haven't really brought it up, but Peter Akroyd, Dan Akroyd's brother, is the story guy behind this. Well, and I looked on his IMDb. He's never done anything. This is his one
everyone's career.
Well, supposedly this is
writing and directing.
Yeah, supposedly this is based on like a road trip that Peter and Dan Akroyd went on, and they literally got pulled over for speeding and brought to a judge in some small town in the middle of the night. That's like the very small kernel. So they probably got a story credit for telling Dan Akroyd, hey, remember that one night? We should do a movie about that. That was probably his story.
You want to know what? That's Dan Akroyd trying to take care of his brother. I respect that.
I'm not besmirching it. I'm just saying it's not like he like went to like did a bunch of research and soul searching for some like amazing novel idea.
Look at
but
Jason,
then he wrote a TV
fancy.
show? Peter Akroyd wrote PSI Factor. He wrote 88 episodes of a TV show that actually has good ratings.
Huh.
So I think Dan might have not done his brother a favor if that's the case. If his brother went on to write a decently good PSI show that ran for 88 episodes, I mean,
I just can't get over the fact that Jason has used the word besmirched. And look at Jason, all fancy with his fancy words and his hot dog buns, like over there, living it up.
I'm more too lazy to buy hot dog buns. I'm like, I'm not going to buy one loaf of hot dog buns, one loaf of bread. We're using the one bread. I don't need that much.
So do you all your
I only get hot dog buns.
Yeah.
That's all my sandwiches are all on hot dog buns.
Dude, as someone who eats keto, if I want to buy hot dog buns, do you want to know how much they cost for 6 buns?
Oh God.
No.
Take a guess.
That's why I do the Dave's Killer Bread.
Dave's Killer Bread.
Fiber ones.
I'm gonna guess $8.79. $8.76.
$15 to the ones that don't taste like garbage. So I don't eat much, but shout out to Royo Bread, by the way, that makes the best tasting keto bread in the world, and everything bagels and everything like that, and it is.
Why don't you steal from them? I mean, at this point, I say Robin Hood it. If that's the cost of living, I say Robin Hood.
I one time saw a meme, and I live by this. If you see someone stealing food at a grocery store, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
I ain't my business. I didn't see nothing.
If someone's stealing food, it's because they need food,
right?
Or they want to. Hey, I don't care about mega corporations. Mom and pop, different. Mega corporations, they can eat it.
I'm with you. Fuck yeah.
Anyways, yeah, everything about this movie I find obnoxious and abrasive, and I would throw it into a burning eternal pit of coal hell.
Jeez,
damn, Jason!
I have been holding back through your entire time. So
okay, Jody,
someone's got some background noise going on.
Is it me?
Sounds like a mic moving around.
That's something moving.
Oh no, that's me. I was just playing the mic.
Yes, stop fucking doing that.
Okay,
we're leaving that in.
Why is his nose a penis when it's PG-13? When you said his nose is a penis, I actually paused and it literally, like, if you guys haven't seen this movie, it's literally a penis. Like the tip of his nose
very
is a penis.
end, when he does a news report, it's even more profound.
Yeah,
that's what I paused it at. I was like, that's a penis.
Yeah, at the beginning you kind of see it and you're like, is that a cock? At the end you're like, oh, that's definitely a cock.
Yeah, it's literally. How did they get away with a PG-13? The main dude's villains.
Because the ratings people stopped watching it halfway through.
It's just a nose. If you're seeing something else there, I mean,
I want to see if there's actually like a little line, like if there's like a little pee hole. I want to see if there's actually like a. Let me see. I'm gonna go back to the final scene. Let me see if there's an actual line.
What is the least attractive word for penis? Is it penis or is it wiener?
PP.
PP. Yeah,
and there is an actual. There is a line. There is like a hole for his, like a pee hole on his nose, an actual like indent pee hole. So it's not just like penis shaped. It's an actual like tip of a penis.
Yeah, it's
my
very
point. Someone thought that was a good idea in the making of this movie.
Somebody thought it was funny
right now. So
somebody thought it was funny. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into this movie specifically, Jason, how do you feel about Chevy Chase in general? Out, not him as a person, him as an actor, a character.
I'm not. I was trying to think about movies I've seen him in, and like Three Amigos, love that movie.
Love Three Amigos.
I haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't know exactly how I feel about it. I know I've seen a lot of his movies, and obviously the ones in the 80s. I can't really think about.
Vacation?
I haven't seen any of his.
Vacation? Christmas
Vacation?
Vacation?
For so long.
See, Spies Like Us. See it like so going into this, like guys like Dan Akroyd, Chevy Chase, John Candy, some of my like comedy heroes at the time. I know, like in real life, like Chevy Chase is an asshole. I don't care though, as far as when I'm watching him on screen. Like, fine, whatever. So this movie is a movie made of like actors that I really enjoy watching. That's step one. But I feel like this movie, like I said, it's like a peek into Dan Aykroyd's brain, and Dan Aykroyd is a weird dude. Like he just absolutely is like in real life a weird guy. He's all into UFOs and aliens. The whole Crystal Head vodka thing is an alien reference. Like he believes all this stuff is real. He's a very bizarre man. And I love that for him. Like I'm happy for him that Ghostbusters, like these are childhood heroes to me, and I'm glad they're weirdos in real life. But I feel like this movie is super creative. It's over the top. Every scene is over the top. I do agree with that. But like The bone stripper, that's fun. The bone stripper is ridiculous. Like, what judge has a ability to throw people into a roller coaster that tears their flesh off?
Oh, just wait. In the current climate we're in, I'm sure that's going to be a thing pretty soon.
Oh yeah. It will start
feels
here
like
in Tennessee. That will be the first place we get one. Like, they'll vote on it and put it up in like my town square. It won't be hidden in the background.
You have a brown tint? I just got a tan. Nope, in the bone stripper.
But yeah, it's ridiculous. It is. It's 100% ridiculous. Lil Devil and Bobo is an insane idea that somebody had on drugs. Remember, this is 1991, and I know at least during the Saturday Night Live years, there was coke flowing through those.
Oh, this is a coke movie. This is a coke movie through and through.
Yes. This is a fever dream. This is Dan Akroyd's fever dream. And I like that. I think it's fun. I like how ridiculous it is. I
like when people do.
It's too much in every way, and that's why I enjoy it. And I will say, I watched this with my daughter, who's 15. She liked it too. So this is not just me as a weirdo, horror movie guy. The kids liked it. So
can I aside on speaking of? Do you guys remember the movie Dinosaur City?
No,
it came out.
With Goldberg.
No, this one was. It was a Disney Channel movie. It came out in 91, and it's like this. Like it's like Adventures in Dinosaur City. It's these.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yes, I've seen this. I look at the pictures. I've definitely seen this.
Okay, so I got to talk to the producer years and years ago, and he shared a bunch of chisme and gossip about all of things and all this stuff. Apparently, when it came to speaking of Coke movies, the Adventures in Dinosaur City movie, the director was so hopped up on Coke the whole time that he doesn't remember making he would all right, it's time to shoot this scene. They're like, no, we did that yesterday. Like, what are you doing? And apparently, most of the extras in this movie are all hookers. He would go out and say, hey, do you want to be in a movie? And they would let him sleep with them. And then he'd show up to every day was a new woman. He's like, hey, put her in a background scene. So that's almost amazing. Every extra woman in this movie is an actual hooker that the director was sleeping with. And what they would do is the producer would, after they would film, everyone would stay and the director would leave, and they'd reshoot everything because it was all incoherent.
I mean, I
just thought I'd share that with you.
That's incredible.
The cast don't have IMDb pages, so
I'm telling you, it's a whole when he's telling me this, he's like, yeah, you guys remember Adventures? I was like, oh, that Disney Channel movie. He's like, yeah, so much Coke. I was like, what? Hookers and blow. And I was like, oh, that's like a Hollywood myth. He's like, no, it's not. I was like, so when you say that, there's a lot of it probably was because that's what this movie on the brief explanation looks of it. It looks like they're all, Dan Aykroyd's wide, bloodshot eyes, and where did this budget go? 75 million adjusted inflation? For what?
Fucking train coming out of a dining room table.
That's what that cost.
The train wasn't expensive. I think the whole junkyard probably was.
The cast and the effects are probably the most expensive parts of this.
Yeah,
because I'm assuming Demi Moore didn't do this for cheap, and she shouldn't have. She should have asked for a shitload of money. Why not?
Yeah. Hey, Coke ain't cheap.
Yeah, cocaine. I don't know. I've never bought Coke, so.
I have anxiety. That's not the kind of drug I need in my body.
Exactly right. I got ADHD. I don't need any more.
I have ADHD and anxiety. Coke just emphasizes all of that.
When I found out that it can burn holes in your nostrils to your mouth, I was like, nah, that's terrifying. That is nightmare.
I'm gonna go left field. I connected with a friend of mine recently who was saying that he has a masseuse, and it's one him and his wife go to. And he was stressed out, and his masseuse is like, well, have you tried ketamine? And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do ketamine. I need to drive home in 2 hours. She's like, no, we'll just do a little bit. It's going to make you relax, and it'll be fine to drive. So he did a line of ketamine. And he said it was fucking awesome. He goes, I was relaxed. He goes, I was relaxed for the hour for the massage, forgot about all my troubles. And then I got up, and then I just went. I was fine to drive an hour later. I was like,
that is something I've always been curious about.
I have heard that in genuine psychological use, it actually can be very helpful, and it can help you with depression and anxiety and all that good stuff. So
anyway, I'm like, hey,
I'm not anti that.
Supposedly, can you give me the masseuse's number, and he hasn't got me the number yet because I'm intrigued.
But supposedly that destroyed Elon Musk's brain. So,
well, I don't.
destroyed a
Well,
lot of
I
people's
think his
brains.
brain was already pretty mushy to begin
Dude,
with.
don't do drugs, kids.
I think privilege and too much money destroyed Elon Musk's brain, and ketamine just helped.
And don't get a brain worm either, because then you might think that vaccines don't work.
Yeah.
Okay, Jody, do you have anything else to defend this movie?
I feel like I'm on trial here, but I mean, just genuinely, this is a movie that I have good nostalgia for. I watched it. I remember the first time I watched it because I did not grow up watching horror movies. I read Goosebumps. Like that was my edgy stuff. And so this movie was weird. It was dark. There were characters getting killed, but it wasn't too much. Like as far as like it wasn't scary in any way. It was just kind of in a spooky world with, things are weird and there's weird things happening. It worked for me.
I will not hold nostalgia against someone for liking this movie. That's the one thing I'm like, okay. If you,
I imagine Jason right now. If you look under his desk, he has a bunch of broken pencils. He's just breaking pencils. If Jody talks good about this movie.
Again, though, I won't just say it's nostalgia though, because I watched it again last night, and I genuinely think it's a fun movie. I think it's over the top in every way, but I think it's a fun movie.
I'll say nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
Hey, dude, stop invalidating Jody's feelings. I'm just saying.
Like genuinely, honestly, when you're like talking about how like obnoxious and terrible it is, I was laughing when I was watching it. I was having a genuine good time. Also, how sober were you when you watched this, Jason? Because I told you, don't do that. Did you do that?
Brother, I was sober. I had a great time.
Did you watch this at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday, stone sober, drinking coffee? Because if so, you did this wrong. This is a 2 a.m. movie. You take an edible, have a good time.
I'm afraid of the psychosis I would go into if I did watch this under an influence.
Next thing you go to Jason's house, he has a bench set up and a piano next to him. He's just
like you see the organ in the background. I mean, okay, talk about doing too much coke. Hey, what's this movie need? Digital Underground and our old judge doing a organ solo with them.
That was fucking cool, dude. I'm sorry.
Sure, why not?
What a random cameo.
I got nothing against any of that. I grew up in the early internet age. Like, randomness does not bother me.
All right, Mondo, tell us what you think about this movie.
Go to Matt next. I usually go second, so let's change everything up. I'll go last this time.
Okay.
I mean,
experiencing this in real time.
Yeah. I don't even know, like, because I'm looking at this from a lot of different aspects. I'm looking at this as an aspect of as a filmmaker kind of thing, as a writing kind of thing, as like a fan of horror, as a fan of indie horror. Because I'll say you can't scale what someone's like, oh, where does this indie horror rank for you on horror films? And I was like, well, I wouldn't do that. Indie horrors are their own thing, and horror movies are their own thing. It's not fair to rank horror movies and indie horror movies together, So for that, I'm like this feels like an indie horror, but it has the budget of a horror film. It feels like they shouldn't have given them this money. And I genuinely think this is one of those instances, though I would say this instance for most things, where if you're making a horror movie, you should be doing this with less of a budget than what you want, because that's how you make good content, because it holds you back. This looks like they got written a blank check and just said, hey, whatever you want. You want a scene where there's these giant guys? Don't worry, we're going to get you good. Who did the makeup? Does anyone know off the top of their head who did the makeup for this?
I do not. I should look that up.
Because it's not bad. It's gross. It definitely feels like this is an episode of Tales from the Crypt kind of thing, where costume designer is Deborah Noodleman. What a weird last name. She worked on Raiders of the Lost Ark. There you go. She worked on the Blues Brothers, so they dragged her into this, and she probably didn't want to do it. Though she was costume design. I'm looking for makeup department. Let me see. Where's the special makeup effects artist? Fat Suits. There it goes. Lisa Rocco.
I mean, you made a comparison to Tales from the Crypt, and I totally felt that while I was watching this. I felt like someone took a bunch of Tales from the Crypt tropes and settings and whatnot,
Like he had just binged it, high on coke, was like, I can do that. Yeah, you look at all the makeup people. She worked on Westworld. The lady who did the makeup effects for this, the fat suits. They hired really talented people for their costumes and their makeups, and it's making me go like, but why? Why did you allow them to pay for good people?
Dean Cundy was the director of photography for this. Like, legit artists were making this movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's
probably
the guy who did
like
Roger. Like, that's crazy to me that they were able to afford all of these really talented people, because realistically, they shouldn't have been able to do that. This is not that kind of movie. This is the kind of movie where you get people who you're like, is he going to show up to work today? Yeah. Sober? Probably not. You know, like, this is like, you know, your PA comes to work and it's like, hey, where's the food? And what food? You're supposed to pick up the food, man. Nah, yeah, I didn't do that. I don't have any money. Where's the company credit card? Oh, I lost that weeks ago. And it's like, that's what this set should feel like. That's what this movie should feel like. Like, oh wow, they had nothing and they made something from it. But it looks like they had their own huge sound stage where they were able to build everything. It almost feels like the house was actually part of, like, because, you know, in filmmaking, you build the exterior of the house with maybe the living room, and then everything else is all these different pieces from different stages. This felt like there was maybe 2 sound stages in this whole, you know, like the major sound stages for the major pieces of the interior, you know, and the house, because there's so many different rooms they go into. And if you're making a horror movie, you don't do that. Like, I write, you know, screenplays and horror movies, and I, you know, look over and I read editing scripts and stuff. You don't do that. You got no budget to do that. You got to go, oh, so they're going to be in the living room like the majority of this movie because we don't got the budget for anything else. You know, we're going to have 6 rooms that they were going to return to over and over again, but they have rooms that they never go to. The you know, the room with all the newspaper and everything. It's like, you guys shouldn't have the budget for that. This is a horror movie. So from that aspect,
of excrements that they like just look in.
Yeah, it's just a pile of shit. Like, yeah, they literally, like, and it's not even a like. So like, she opens the door. There's a 6-foot tall pile of poop that doesn't even look like poop.
It was bat shit. They mentioned it was the room of bats, so it was a Batman lived there.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, and
well, there are bats in there, and they said guano. They mentioned it was guano.
Yeah, and that's what I'm. So it's like this really random shit of this movie. We're just like, okay, that's all really random and expensive. Like who you know, like we joke about the train scene, but like genuinely, like that wasn't cheap. That wasn't to be able to set all of that up with the props, with the costumes, everything, to have him be on set in costume all the time. Like, if you're gonna have a guy in prosthetics all of that time, you're going to use the best of everything to not show his full body, so he's not going to be in full body. If he's a judge, I would have kept him behind the court thing the majority of the movie, because I'm not paying for him to actually wear the fat suit and the, you know, have all that. He wears gloves and he wears a mask and we call it a day. You're not going to have all of these other things. We don't need to have him pop off his nose. Why are we seeing that he has a fake nose and a fake teeth? We don't need to see that, though, because what does it contribute to the story? We already know he's a weirdo, you know? So to me, it's like they really were given too much. And it's this cardinal sin of horrors. You never give a horror, especially since this is his first horror movie, like genuinely horror, you know? You don't give him an open check to go, hey, do whatever you want. Because then we get shit like this where it's just like, oh, look at the fat suits. So let's get the best makeup artist and the best cameraman and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, how did you blackmail them? Or did you guys just write big checks to them? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Go fuck.
I will push back on one thing. I don't think this is trying at all to be a horror movie.
I don't know what it's trying to be, though. I think that's part of its identity is weird,
dark and full of murder.
I think because originally they were going for an R rating. I think they are trying to go for some sort of horror comedy.
Yeah, I think it's just
in the vein of like
dark.
a Beetlejuice. I think like a Beetlejuice kind of thing.
Yeah. Honestly, if there was a supernatural aspect of this, it would have been better. To be perfectly honest.
I don't think it's actually supposed to be scary at any point, though.
Well, I would argue horror movies don't need to be scary. I think horror in a genre is a pretty wide umbrella. It's like action, like.
Well, I feel like they're trying to be disturbing to a degree, especially the original cut.
I can chime in because I saw this when I was very, very young. I probably saw this right after it came out, because even at a young age, I was interested in horror. And we used to have I've talked about this before. We had a video store in Las Vegas called Video Park, which they had the horror movie section, which was basically an old cabin you'd walk into. And they had a coffin in the middle where a vampire would pop out of it. And I used to love going there as a kid, because I remember renting this and watching this when I was like 9 or 10-ish. So probably 92, 93. And it was scary as a kid, because you have this creepy judge with these creepy prosthetics. As a child, you're generally, sounds bad because we're all, except for Matt, we're all old people. And as a
I'm
kid,
34. Okay, I'm old. I have gray hairs. Look, you can see my gray hairs.
Matt?
34. I was born in 91. I was literally born like 1 month before this movie came
all
out.
in our 40s, and Jason's like 63. So we're working.
This is actually a fake nose.
Jason was
he takes an
great for
opportunity.
63.
That's why he hates this movie, because he was insulted by the nose.
It's nosist.
He's a boomer.
Jason was the judge that Dan Akroyd ran into. Well, okay, so here's the thing. According to the actual movie, this is a horror movie. It's a dark comedy horror.
Yeah,
so it is a horror movie.
Dark comedy. I get. Yeah.
Well, as a young kid,
it
though,
had
it was
horrific
scary.
things. Yeah.
As a young kid, though, I thought it was a scary movie. You got bones flying, you got the bone stripper, and all that kind of stuff. But watching it again as an adult, I had so much fun with this movie. Sorry, Jason.
Thank you.
It's ridiculous. I love the scene with John Candy and Daniel Baldwin when he's pulling them over, and they're just fucking in the car trying to hide Jack Daniels bottles as they're driving, and they're doing coke. That was a lot of fun. I just think this is fun, and the effects are great at the end. There are things that definitely don't work, but I think it's okay when you're not trying too hard. But I'd love to hear if they were at all influenced by Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
It seems easily.
Yeah, because that was like the first thing I thought of watching this. And that's why I think Tobe Hooper would have been the perfect guy to direct this, because he's always kind of, well, he even said the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre is meant to be a dark comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And then after he filmed it, he's like, oh, wait a minute, this is really horrific. But I think like he kind of, I mean, at the end of that movie, you have Leatherface versus Dennis Hopper in a chainsaw fight.
Yeah.
Which it kind of follows a lot of the same thing this does, with the two twin brothers being almost like sympathetic Leatherface characters in that. Whereas in the second movie, Leatherface is almost sympathetic because he actually just is. They obviously make him out to be mentally challenged, and he's being forced to do these things by his family, even though he has an affection towards a woman or whatever. So I again, Jason, I get your hatred of this. It's wrong, but. But I do think if people out there have never seen this, especially right now in 2024, take an edible, have a drink, chill, and just try to have fun with it. I think you're gonna have a good time.
You want to hear something hilarious about this? This is to show how random this movie is. One of the producers of this movie produced Crash. So if they re-released it, they could say from Academy Award winning producer.
Wait, which Crash?
Yeah, that crashed 2000 and what is that? The 2009 crash. Now, hindsight, Crash is a terrible movie and it's really racist, but it did win. Yeah. Oh no, it's a TV series Crash that's based off the movie. Did he do the movie? No, he didn't. He just produced the TV show. Well, never mind. I guess that's not fair. That's not fair.
One thing I kept seeing when I was reading all the reviews of this movie is how much everyone talks about how repulsive and disgusting and everything. It doesn't, like, I don't get that reaction from it at all. Like,
I've seen
maybe
worse.
it's because I'm a horror person. As a horror person, nothing in here was disturbing to me. It was all.
Was that Peter Jackson movie, Bad Taste or something?
Yeah.
That's what this movie could have been. Well, granted, Bad Taste wasn't good for but hey, it was memorable.
Yeah, I just don't get I feel like for the critics in 1991, it was just too weird. It was too bizarre. There was no other. I mean, there genuinely is no other movie like this movie. Like find the other movie like this movie. It doesn't exist.
Well, it does. TCM2 is my closest example because,
it's closest, but it's got a different vibe, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I always love looking at the movie posters too because they're so like. The one movie poster that I always use, just the four of them side by side, floating heads in the air, and there's just like a vulture. I don't even think there's a vulture in the movie. And then someone did like a really artistic post that actually looks really cool.
There's one of the posters, definitely a hand painted poster.
That one looks nice, but
for like Indiana Jones type stuff.
Yeah, that one exactly. But other than that, the regular poster for this and the VHS box set for this, what a weird.
Okay. The VHS that's on my wall right back there. Yeah, that VHS
is on your Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
it's him sitting on a pile of bones.
Like, Jody is trying to torture me by making me look at that VHS every time we record. That's the ultimate.
I'm just going to lean to the side constantly, so it's always in frame.
Also, what's with the name? Nothing But Trouble. What's with the name?
They changed a bunch of times. It was originally going to be something like completely random, and then they were going to call it Vulcanvania. But Demi Moore does say the line that she's nothing but trouble at one point in the movie.
Oh, we didn't talk about this, but actually my favorite parts of the whole movie is at the end when you see his car is all fucked up, but the valet is waxing it, even though it has no doors and no roof anymore.
Okay,
and I do also love,
gag.
Yeah, I do also love the archaic GPS technology.
Yeah, that's
because
fun.
I think nowadays, if someone watched it, they wouldn't realize, like back in '91, that probably cost like $10,000 to have in your car.
That wasn't GPS. It was like
a map.
It was a map. Like you pull up like a map and then you tell it which way you're going. And then it just kind of like pulls up the next area or something.
Sorry, computers used to be a lot less functional.
Well, I mean, for a long time, GPS were they based on maps, so there was no updates or anything. They were it was just literally like hey, to get to this area from where your area is, this is what you do, and good luck. If anything's changed since this GPS thing has been released.
I remember the GPSs that you had to like take out of your car and bring in the house and update the GPS by plugging it into your computer.
Fancy. I just had the regular. I was a pizza delivery guy, and I
didn't have any of them. I knew of them. Other people I knew had them. So.
I worked at Sharper Image, and we sold a Magellan GPS for $1,200. And then TomTom came out, and TomTom sold their entry model for like $700, and that was a huge bargain.
Yeah,
for people, but you had to pay for the updates. When new map updates came out, they were like $15 for the map pack to update your map update. Yeah.
I can see why other pizza delivery guys. Inside pizza stores, there's a giant map of the city of like your district with all the details and stuff. So you just look at like, oh, this is where this person's address is, and you just kind of visually memorize how you're going to get there, and then you go there. And there was like that's how like most pizza and eventually that's how I did it too. But I can see why they did that over GPS. I was like, oh, you guys don't have GPS? They're like, nah, I've been doing this for 15 years. I don't, nah. I'm like, okay, I get with the times, old man. But now I see why. Yeah, it's 700. That's crazy.
I mean, when we were newlyweds, I remember going to MapQuest, finding directions, and like handwriting them out on a notepad, and then taking them with you. So.
And if you made a wrong turn, fuck.
You were lost then. You had no way of finding out.
I had a fucking atlas in my car, and there were times we were driving. I was like, wait. If we take a left here and go this way, we can avoid the traffic.
Road atlas.
So smart.
But then if you got to the edge, you had to like find, okay, where's 76B? And like look through the whole thing to find it.
I remember
we're already an hour. We've already been going for an hour. Let's wrap up this review. We'll do our rating 0 to 5. 5 being the best, 0 being the worst. Matt, you can be our canary in the coal mine. What do you give this?
So
personal rating.
Okay, so like ranking it as a horror movie with a horror movie budget, I mean it. This is what I would say. Whenever I watch any movie ever, especially when it comes to horror movies, but whatever. Whenever I watch any movie, I think, what did they set out to do, and did they achieve it? That's my ranking. That's how I would rank something on a scale of 1. What did they want to do? Did they achieve it? And for me, this would be, like if they set out to do it, I feel like they did a 3 out of 5. Because they set out to make a weird movie. There's no accident that they're like, oh, it just came out weird. This isn't the case of like, certain horror movies you're just like, oh, it's such a kooky, little thing. Like this is Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like they set out to do something weird and they did it. Their execution could have been better, which is why I'm not giving them 1 out of 5. But they set out to do something weird. They knew what they were doing. They had a budget. They overblew the budget, overpaid everyone. But did the actors try? Does Demi Moore look hot? And we have to remember too, this is a PG-13 movie, so they had to be very careful how they were doing everything. And so when you go, it's a PG-13 movie, they wanted to make it weird, but they still wanted to get away with some stuff, and they wanted to make this really kooky, tight horror movie. I'm like, yeah, 3 out of 5. Could have been better with a different director, but hey, Dan Akroyd's not a director. Could have been better with the touch-up script. Could have been better if there was some actual good producers on this. So yeah, I would say it's a 3 out of 5. I look at this and I go, this is a weird movie, but if I was like 14, 15, 17, 20, young 20s, and my friends are like, hey, let's get high and let's watch this movie together. I guess you don't need to be an 18-year-old to do that. But, it's if you're like, hey, guys, because drunk is a different aspect. I feel like you're going to get too aggressive when you're I say, like, get high and watch this movie, and you're going to have a great time because you'll be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is a Valentine's Day movie. This is a movie that you and your girl, like, you put on, you and your boy, whatever and you put on and you're like, hey, let's not watch it. Let's just go into this. And you guys just go, what the like, because you're gonna get off your phones. You're just gonna be paying attention and being like, what are we watching? You know. And I feel like for that, I give it a 3 out of 5.
All right, Mondo.
I'm also at a 3, and I cannot explain it any better than Matt just said. Except for, you want to know what? Like, at the end of the day, there are definitely movies, right, that have deep plots and great effects and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, like, I rate a lot of movies based on at the end of it. Did I have a good time? And I had a good time. And anytime Demi Moore's on my screen, I'm going to have a good time. I love John Candy. John Candy is just legendary, in my opinion. Dan Akroyd, for what he does, like I think he does a great job as a judge. Regardless of what you think of the movie Jason, I think you can admit that he does a great job playing that character and making that character work. So I'm also at a 3 out of 5. Is it a phenomenal movie that I'm going to tell my friends like you have to watch this? No, but much like Matt said, like, there's a good chance, Jody, when we're at CFF, if we're high as hell on that Airbnb, maybe we'll take another stab at Nothing But Trouble just for fun.
I think that sounds like a great plan to me.
Exactly. Jason, let us know what you thought. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Give a laugh.
I'll tell you. So I can understand that this is not a movie for everyone. Okay. This was a movie made for weirdos. It's a weird movie. The scenes are just like one moment of, here's an idea I had, let's make it. Here's another idea I had, let's make it. And it's made for weirdos. And I apparently am very much on Dan Aykroyd's weirdo wavelength. And right there, I'm right there. I watched this movie. I'm like, this movie is ridiculous and fun, and I have a good time with it. I give it a 4 out of 5 because I just really enjoy watching it. Like I was looking back, I watched it before this most recently in 2019. And I gave it a 4 out of 5 then, when I wasn't doing it for a podcast and I wasn't doing it to like try to defend it or whatever. That's my genuine feel about this movie. It's fun and creative in a way that I have not seen in any other movie. So take that as you will.
John Waters would have done a great job directing this. I just want.
Oh my God, yes.
Who would have?
John Waters.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, if you guys like John Waters movies, you're gonna like this one. It's a step above that, you know. And this movie could have done with some drag queens in it.
Divine as the judge. Boom.
I'm envisioning right now. I think he would have left John Candy in there, but he'd have done it way more over the top.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He would have given him big juicy bosoms and all that stuff. Yeah.
And John Candy would have been like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it."
Yeah. I like that.
One part I didn't mention at the very end when they're arm in arm, when John Candy's arm in arm with the non-Brazilian woman, and she grabs his hand and puts on her ass, and she grabs his ass. I laughed my ass off because I felt like that was very ad-libbed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She absolutely. Which I want to put out real quick because I was looking this up all again. So they weren't Brazilian, but they were both Latino actors. So I'll take it. That is still something for the '90s. That's progressive.
Yes.
I will never be mad at someone for something being their unless it's like Birth of a Nation. I'm not going to be mad at you for something being your favorite.
She's so beautiful.
South, like one of those movies.
But for my rating, I'm going 1.5.
Oh, hold on a second, Jason. Before we talked about it, would you have gone with a 1? Do we up you a half point at least?
No.
Okay.
And I'll explain my rating.
Can you humor us and pretend like we helped you get to a 1.5?
No, I'm giving 0.5 for just out of respect to John Candy because he's legend. I'm giving 0.5 to Demi Moore for being a good sport and all this and being
dynamite cleavage, you know,
being Demi Moore,
being Demi for being the
There's a bit of an afro in this, you know.
And then as much as I think this movie's overproduced, they do go for it, and I'm giving another 0.5 to the production crew because they worked their asses off on this movie. They built a fucking roller coaster that goes into a deboning machine. Like
the set
they
pieces
did it. I don't like
incredible.
it. I think it's all. I don't like it at all. But they did it. They put a lot of work into that, and you know, it's not like someone sat at a computer and just came up with some bullshit. So, hats off to that.
I forgot to mention one other actress. There is another cop, played by Valerie Bromfield, who I remember her from like Needful Things and a couple. Anyway, we were watching halfway through the movie when she was talking. My daughter went, is she Canadian? And I'm like, oh, extremely. She's SCTV like alum. Like,
Oh, I also love at the end that much like Current Day, all cops are in on it. So the
they were
moral
all
of
in
this
on
whole-
it.
Yeah.
the moral of this whole movie is don't talk to the fucking police because they're not your friends. I trained jujitsu with police officers that will tell me if I arrest you, do not talk to me.
Oh yeah, no, my
So like
my
you know
brother
that's
is a
bad.
park ranger. He you know, and park rangers are law enforcement officers. They do everything that police do, and he will tell me all the time, like, hey, so if you ever get pulled over, don't talk, don't agree to anything, don't open anything, say no to everything. Like, yeah.
So we never talked about this before, but Jody, how much of his time does he spend with picnic baskets and bears?
Picnic. Hey, some picnic baskets.
he did have so now he's mostly out in the woods and enjoying himself and getting to do all the park stuff. He did have a job at a park that was a little more centrally located where like traffic went through all the time and he had to be a cop all the time and he hated it. It wasn't fun. But the ranger part is fun.
I have the wrong career.
I would just like to say it is slightly weird that Yogi and Boo Boo are not brothers. Yogi's just an older man hanging out with a small child. I find kind of weird. Just want to point that out.
Is he a small child? Do they make it that he's a cub, or is he just like
Yeah,
small
he's a
baby?
cub. He's a little cub.
He wears a little necktie.
Bow
though,
tie.
a little bow
Only
tie,
kids
though,
wear
so
neck
maybe,
bow ties.
maybe he's just a little man.
Also, so can I
Okay.
quander this question to you guys about this movie?
Mhm.
If it was to
Last
be
question.
remade,
Oh.
who would you want to be in this direct right act? Anything? Who, if they were remaking this, who would you want to be part of this?
I would want
actor
Go ahead.
Pedro Pascal.
Oh yeah.
He would have the best
wait,
fucking
and which-
time doing this movie.
Chevy. Okay,
No,
no.
he
Pedro
beat the Chevy
Pascal
Chase
as the
role.
Chevy Chase character.
Nicholas
Um,
Cage as a judge.
No. Hugh Grant as the judge.
No, that's too close.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
too close to
I
playing
can see that.
himself. I feel like that's. Also, he'd never put a penis on his nose. He'd never do it. I don't think he would. I feel like he'd do a lot of things, but I feel like Hugh Grant would never put a penis on his nose.
He did
I-
shrink
I
himself
want-
down to a Oompa Loompa in that new Wonka movie.
Yeah, that is true.
And
but
he did a
hated
little
it.
dance.
And they
See
paid him a
that
lot of
little
money.
Director?
thing?
For director, Ari Aster.
I'm sorry. Ari Aster or Robert Eggers. Let's just make this shit super dark and serious.
The Ari Aster version of this is all about his problems he had with his mom. I don't know
Exactly.
how it relates to all this, but it does.
Director Josh Rubin.
Josh Rubin.
Oh,
would have
dude.
fun with this.
Also, side note, met Josh Rubin. What a sweetheart. That dude is
Yeah,
so
dude,
freaking
he definitely
nice,
seems
man.
it.
Jody and I are such big fans of Dropout TV, and I love Josh Rubin.
Yes.
Hard Eyes, great movie. Should have
Yes.
made more money. Love
Hard
Hard
Eyes.
Eyes.
Hard as my
Thank
favorite
you.
movie of the year so far. That's
We are
where I'm at. So
All
you're
lovers
with,
of
you're with us.
Okay. Before we get going, let's take a quick break and do a shout out. This is I'm sure Jody will talk about this, but as we're recording this, John Carpenter today got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
That was going to be in my news, but
And gave the horns.
Jason did it.
I'm stealing
Oh
it.
yeah, finally.
So in honor of that, here's a good shout out for you.
I am Keith David, and tune in to Dads from the Crypt.
Oh,
Yeah. Woo!
I was gonna say, if that's John Carpenter, I'm gonna start crying.
No, but Keith David did like one of the speeches. I don't know exactly who did like
Dude,
which speech.
I
but-
love Keith David's, and my favorite role from him is not The Thing. It's the voice of Spawn, the Spawn cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
where
yeah.
he just
He's-
he kills it.
He does
They
such
live-
great voice work.
They live.
They live.
Love him and they live.
Yeah.
everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, obviously, God, that fight scene to this day, every time I watch it, I laugh. So I saw it in the theater when it came out recently in the theater, and there's a scene that I was laughing, and people were looking at me weird because I almost started crying laughing because I don't remember it. But it's when Keith David thinks the fight's over and he walks away, and John Carver being a master of directing, you just see slowly right get back into the scene, and the fight keeps going. I'm like, this is the best shit of all time.
It's so good.
I showed that to my wife for the first time. Told her nothing about They Live, and just was like, "Hey, just watch this." And she's like, "All right, cool." She's like, "It's interesting." And when the fight, because the fight's almost 10 minutes long, it's like almost a 10-minute long fight scene. She's like, "It's still going." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yes.
they're still fighting each other." She's like, "Jesus." But yeah, shout out to They Live. If you haven't seen They Live, oh my god, what a masterpiece! Holy
And speaking
shit!
of John Carpenter, our friends at Bright Rags, I have my "Do You Read Sutter Kane" T-shirt.
Oh, I love Into the Mathematics. Love it.
It's
Love
literally one of my comfort food films, and one of my favorite movies of all
Matt,
time.
are you going to see John Carpenter in October?
For
His
what
concert
He's doing like 6 concerts.
at the Belasco.
Oh, I didn't know, but yeah, I probably will now.
Okay. Mondo and I are going. I forget which night. I'll tell you which one if you can make it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. October 25th is a Saturday. But yeah, it's if you've never seen Carpenter live, it is legit one of the best cons. I've been to using my shit. I've been to a lot of concerts. It's top 5 concert of all time I've ever been to.
I gotta check it. Absolutely, yeah. Mi amor, John Carpenter concert. Remind me. Sorry, my wife's.
Mondo.
She's got a better memory than I do.
Mondo.
Huh.
Song of the day.
I have a 2 today.
Underground. Wait.
I have 2. Well, I have 2 today. One because it's topical with the movie and with the current state of the world. 2 that is topical because of the movie. I think it's funny because when I heard the term "nothing but trouble," I couldn't forget that back in 1991. They released a record called "Simpsons Sing the Blues."
Yep,
Yes.
I had that.
I had it too on CD.
Yep,
And one of the songs on there, cassette tape. One of the songs is called "Deep Deep Trouble," as sang by Bart Simpson. I see Matt looking. Matt, you have to look at this record. This record is ridiculous as shit, including a song by Mr. Burns saying, "Look at all these idiots, a factory full of fools." It's Simpsons Sing the Blues. It's on Spotify and iTunes. Check it out. It's fucking ridiculous. But the song I really wanted to go with is being that I've never even heard of this song before until I was looking up some of Tupac's more topical songs about the world and everything. And there's a song apparently unreleased, but it's on YouTube. So I'm not sure what album it comes on, called "The Government." And I read the lyrics and I'm like, shit. This is incredibly topical for today. So, I was originally going to go with Tupac.
Changes.
I can't remember this. Words of Wisdom, which is a great song. But I saw that this song called "The Government" existed, and looked at the lyrics, and I was like, God damn! If that doesn't fit with our current political times, our current social times, I don't know what does. So, 2 songs. "Deep Deep Trouble" by Mr. Bartholomew J. Simpson of the album Simpsons Sing the Blues, and Tupac Shakur off the album. He died in my city, I'm just saying. Allegedly. The album, the song "The Government," which off an album I don't even know, but you can find it on your social media, your YouTube or Daily Motion or whatever, Vimeo.
Tupac was a producing machine. Like, the man made so much stuff that never got released, and then they've been releasing it ever since. But he just recorded constantly, so there's a lot of unreleased stuff.
All right, thank you, Mondo. Jody, give us some horror news.
And I didn't fully get into it, but same song by Digital Underground was the first time Tupac rapped on anything
no shit
recorded. So
I love that the guy from small town Sparta, Tennessee, also knows more about rap music than any of them.
Well, he was a backup dancer for Digital Underground originally, and then he got to debut on the song Same Song. Digital Underground's a good band.
I just remember
they're a Bay Area band, so everything, they're kind of weird. Shock G, it's a big fake plastic nose, and he always had that. And
this movie has the thing about noses.
Growing up, my Cholo cousins, they listened to West Coast rappers, Zapp and Roger, and Kid Frost.
All right, so horror news. Last week we had a couple movies come out. I don't know if we talked about them. Death of Unicorn is in theaters right now.
That was fun. I liked it.
Good. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm excited about it.
I haven't seen it.
The Woman in the Yard is also in theaters currently, and I've heard kind of mixed. It's kind of Babadooky from what I've heard.
Babadook.
I like Babadook. I didn't like Woman in the Yard.
Oh, okay.
I forgot that I got tickets this night. I had to cancel my plans, but Screamboat
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the new Steamboat Willie horror movie
with David Howard Thornton. Yeah.
There's 5 of those, by the way,
Oh,
this
God.
year.
Yeah.
I feel like one's been coming out like every month for last year.
I will say I watched Popeye the Slayer Man the other night, and I went in rock bottom expectations. I expected it to be terrible. It was a serviceable slasher movie. Like, it was 3 out of 5. Like, not great, but I mean, it was fine. Like,
they sent
actually,
me a
made
screener
movie.
and I forgot to watch it, and I feel really bad that I forgot to watch it.
They actually made a movie out of it. Like, they didn't just go with the Popeye thing. But anyway, as far as new releases, tonight, I guess, we get Hell of a Summer in theaters. That's the new Finn Wolfhard. Directed, I think. Did he direct it? He's in it.
Yeah. I don't know if he wrote it, but he directed and he stars.
Yeah. So it's a slasher take on like summer camp slasher type stuff. I've heard nothing but good things about it so far.
Yeah,
so
it looks like where they know they're in like a slasher, or they've seen the slasher before.
Yeah, they're aware of slashers, but I don't think it's like they're in a slasher.
No. They're like, oh, this is what's happening.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm very excited for that one. I love my camp slashers. Camp slashers are the best place to set a slasher, personally. As far as at home releases, Opus just came out for a home release. I've been hearing some mixed things on that one. I haven't seen it yet either. It's John Malkovich though, so I at least think he'll be entertaining.
If you want some fun John Malkovich fare, David Letterman once did a top 10 list of top 10 things that are scary when said by John Malkovich. Definitely worth checking out.
That's excellent. We got a good handful of trailers this last week, though. We got a trailer for Bring Her Back, the new movie from the Talk to Me directors. It looks really intense. Yeah. It's possession, and kids are involved, and kids are getting possessed, and it's a lot. It looks like a really intense experience. So,
and Sally Hawkins.
Yeah, Sally Hawkins is in it.
She doesn't fuck a fish though.
You can't have it in every.
Lame.
That should be in every movie she's in.
If she's not screwing a fish, man, I don't want to watch it.
In Paddington. Very confusing scene for the kids.
I watched the third one, not as good as the other two. It's good, but it's okay.
It's hard to achieve the heights of Paddington 1 and 2.
Well, they fired the director. I just want to point that out. The Paddington 3 team was an entirely different crew than the Paddington 1 and 2 team.
Okay.
Fired the director. After making 2 of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah. Paddington 1 and 2 are near flawless as far as family movies go. Like, fantastic.
Yeah,
I need to watch it. I feel like I'd enjoy them on a plane flight to the East Coast or
something.
You enjoy it anyway. Like, go sit down and watch Paddington 1 and 2. They're genuinely like the greatest movies. Paddington 3 I already wasn't gonna watch because they hired 2 Spaniards to play Latino actors, and that pisses me off. In this day and age, that shit don't fly for me.
But I can't tell us on air. But when we're done, I have a fun story about some Spaniards that I met. I'll tell you this later.
That's a tease for our listeners that don't get to hear the story later.
I'll tell the story later if you guys want.
Were you propositioned by Brazilianaires?
No, because I'd be in Brazil right now, not talking to you fuckers. But I'm just kidding.
All right, as far as other trailers, we got our first teaser trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which I'm not a 9-year-old, but I have a 9-year-old, and he's thrilled. So, like, they're
movies could be good though. The first one could have been good. That's what bothers me about
the gateway horror. Like my
son wasn't out it. He thought it was too boring.
Oh,
he loved Romulus. His favorite movie today is Alien Romulus.
That's awesome.
He watched it when he was 6 years old. He loves that movie. He loves Alien Romulus.
His intensity level is higher than my 9-year-old. My 9-year-old couldn't handle it.
I mean, I watched Romulus before, so when there's like 2 or 3 scenes in that movie where I'm like, that's too much for you, I cover his eyes. Other than that, he watched the whole thing. He was totally cool with it. He loves Alien Romulus. He stands by. It's like his favorite movie ever. Did not like Alien. Liked half of Aliens when they actually get to the stuff. He liked the rest of Aliens. First few minutes of Aliens, though, also Aliens, really inappropriate for kids. A lot of sexual stuff, a lot of cussing. Kind of regret showing him it. First Alien, he was bored. He was bored stiff. He's like, this movie's so boring. I don't want to even finish it.
Very slow-moving movie,
but Friday Night Freddy didn't care. He was too slow for him, that's what I was saying. I was like, you can't make a movie that's borderline 2 hours that's supposed to be aimed at kids. Someone's going to care. But I was wrong. made a billion, I think.
They made a ton of money. So,
but it could have been better. It could have been better.
All right. Speaking of other gateway-ish type horrors, we got a trailer for Megan 2.0, a full trailer.
You mean Terminator 2 Judgment Day? You mean it's literally the plot of Terminator 2 Judgment Day? It's literally the plot of Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
It is, and I'm in for it because they just released a T-1000 in Mortal Kombat. It's a lot of fun.
I play as Terminator in Fortnite with my kid. I love Terminator.
I thought this trailer was so much fun. Like it was everything I wanted it to be.
I'm not a big fan of Megan, but I get why people like it. I just couldn't do it. I like Afraid more, and I think people are sleeping on Afraid. I think Afraid is the superior killer AI movie.
I haven't seen that. I'll check it out.
I got invited to a random screening, and I showed up, and I didn't realize it was like a red carpet for the freaking movie, and John Cho was there, and everyone. Or who's the not John Cho? I'm being racist and naming a different Asian man. But yeah, it was I'm right. John Cho. Yeah, John Cho from Harold and Kumar. He's the main character in it, and it's a biracial family, and David Dastmalchian is in it and stuff. I think it's a really good movie. As far as killer AIs go, that is a superior movie to Megan. Personal opinion.
I'll say I didn't think Megan as a killer AI movie was like that. That wasn't the interesting part to me. It was more like the daughter aunts relationship, or the daughter and the grief and stuff. I thought that
didn't carry.
That's the part I didn't expect, but I really latched onto. But,
yeah. Anyway, the new Megan definitely leans into the action movie side of like there in the first Megan, there's actually not a ton of action going on, and I feel like this is they took that criticism and were like, let's put all the action in it, and
the kills are lame. Kills are lame. What pisses me off the most about Megan? Worst kills in a horror movie.
Oh, the unrated version apparently was way better with the kills.
I call bullshit on that. The unrated version is literally 1 minute and 30 seconds longer.
It is just a little bit.
There's nothing more. It's literally the host scene when they hose her face. It just shows some blood from that.
I watched the unrated. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, Megan was fun. It was fine.
I feel
okay. A couple you probably haven't heard of, unlike the other ones. We got a trailer for a movie called Primitive War, which is a Vietnam War movie with dinosaurs. Okay.
You have me dinosaurs, much like Dino City.
I'm just happy that it exists. I don't know if it's going to be good or not. It's got Jeremy Pivens in it, so they got like a little bit of like name recognition in this one. So
could we get a Denver the Last Dinosaur remake? Just saying.
I like dinosaur horror, and dinosaurs in Vietnam sound like a fun combination to me. So I'm definitely
it looked like Jurassic Park meets Kong Skull Island.
Yeah. Okay.
Skong.
I love
I don't know where that came from.
I love Skull Island. I thought that's probably one of my favorite of the Monsterverse. So
that's the best one.
Another trailer that came out just recently is for The Severed Son. It's a folk horror about an isolated religious community. And as somebody who grew up very religious, I gravitate to this kind of stuff. It kind of reminded me of Jugface. Did y'all ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Indie horror. Yeah. Weird like cult religion. It's got a little Midsummer in it, I think.
Remember, was it The Apostle?
Yeah, The Apostle. It's got some of that in there. Sure.
Yeah. Looks interesting.
Yeah. As far as physical releases, Return of the Living Dead's getting a 4K steelbook. Fulci's Murder Rock is getting a full 4K. That's Fulci at his nothing but troublest. It just kind of big and
all right,
weird.
So if you guys have not seen Devil's Honey by Fulci,
yeah.
Have you seen that, Jody?
I have.
Saxophone to the vagina. Like that's all I have to say. And it is a fucking glorious movie.
Man, when Fulci was unhinged, he could just go some fun places. But Murder Rock has like musical scenes and dance scenes and lots of leotards and yeah, it's wild stuff.
I have pre-ordered it.
Yeah, good. Now just some general news. New Line says that the new Conjuring movie, The Conjuring Last Rites, will end the Conjuring universe's quote phase 1. Which what the hell does that mean?
They legally have to.
It means fuck that movie.
They're getting sued. They've been getting sued for like the last 5 years.
Oh, sure. Really?
By the actual people that play the couple. So The Conjuring is based off 2 real people.
Right.
Apparently they feel that they were screwed out of much more money.
The Warrens, really?
Mm-hmm. They felt scummy
fucking
people to
con
begin with.
artists.
The con artists to begin with.
Warrens definitely should not be complaining by being portrayed by these two actors.
Phenomenal films, phenomenal. Yeah, even for Blumhouse, which I'm not the biggest fan of anything Blumhouse done really. Conjuring is solid. And yeah, so they've been suing them, and they're suing them for the rights to the movies. And as far as I was aware, they were on the verge of winning the rights to the movies. So unless Universal or Blumhouse settled with them, I don't know if we're getting more Conjuring movies. I know that they've been fighting with this shit for a long time.
I know they've been making a lot of money off of them, so they're going to try to keep making them some way. But I'm just saying, I want you to Google Ed and Lorraine Warren sometime and look at them, and then Google Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga and see if they should be insulted. They should not be insulted. They should be very happy that Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are playing.
I take it back. I just Googled it. So it's the guy that the person wrote a book on the Warrens. The person that wrote the book on the Warrens is suing Universal, not the Warrens.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Either way.
I wanted to double check, make sure I'm giving good information.
Either way, the actual Warrens are problematic, to say the least.
Yeah, they're frauds.
Yeah,
they're terrible people.
But the characters of the Warrens in The Conjuring,
super cool.
I love them. I love Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as the Warrens. I just take
them
as separate entities from the real people they were based on.
Yeah.
So we talked last week about Eli Roth's The Horror Section, and our friend John Schnars is now the CEO of The Horror Section. They've acquired their first movie. It's called Jimmy and Stiggs, and it's a new Joe Begos movie. And I like Joe Begos. He does some crazy stuff. I have the feeling that Joe Begos with Eli Roth in production, that's a great combination. I think it's going to be good stuff.
I did an ad for them. I just want to point that out. They were really nice people. I'll tell you that from my end. As a content creator, they reached out and they were like, hey, Horror Section stuff, if you have any questions and stuff. They did not to bring up the price point, though, which I found was hilarious. They're like, hey, tell people to invest, but don't tell them how much it costs.
Fair enough. And my final piece of news is this year marks the 10th anniversary for Shudder, and Shudder is doing a whole bunch of 10th year celebration stuff. They're doing a halfway to Halloween thing right now for April, but they also have like stuff that's coming this year. The Ugly Stepsister's coming. We've talked about that. Ash, Clown in a Cornfield, a new VHS movie, a new Hell House LLC movie, a new season of the Creep tapes. Boulet Brothers Dragula, more Last Drive-In throughout the year. They're going to make a special called The Movies That Made Shudder, where it's all about Shudder produced movies and like the background of them. Late Night with the Devil, Terrified, When Evil Lurks, and Violent Nature, Speak No Evil. All of those that like get behind the scenes for all those movies. They're going to do Bloody Birthdays, celebrating milestone anniversaries, like Phantom of the Opera hit 100 years. Repulsion hit 60 years. Fright Night is on their 40th anniversary. Land of the Dead has its 20th anniversary. So they're doing a lot of things like that. And so they're just doing a whole bunch of stuff. They're doing some stuff at the Overlook Festival. They're doing a screening series that's touring around. I was a day one subscriber to Shudder. As soon as they said, hey, there's a horror streaming service, I said subscribe because that's my stuff. And they're producing some great stuff. Sometimes some of the original productions are kind of mid-tier, but
very good.
When they hit really great. And so, like In a Violent Nature, like that came from a streaming service. That's amazing. That movie is
Evil Lurks.
I would say that when it comes to Latin American horror films, Shudder is really, really cool because they're the ones that Satanic Hispanics went to, where Evil Lurks. I think they also were the La Huesera, the Bone Woman. There's a lot of and some, not last year, but the past few years, there've been a lot of really solid Latin American horror films that people just wouldn't normally watch, but thanks to Shudder, they have. So I'll say that. I will say, personal opinion, and from stuff I've heard on the inside, that ever since AMC took over, things have not been fun for people at Shudder.
I'm sure
we've lost a lot of good series, I feel like, ever since that acquisition, because I feel like there were some solid series coming out of Shudder, and they all got killed off. So that's my disappointment for that. I feel like Shudder has some really quality original stuff that they just don't want to take risks on past a season or two. But yeah, dude, love Shudder. For all their faults and everything, love Shudder. that's if you're a horror fan, you have to have it. It's that simple.
Right.
And this is a free advertisement for Shudder, so if you don't have it already, get it. It's going. I think it's going up in price just a little bit, but it's still like the best value for horror fans.
$9 a month.
$9 a month. I mean, Netflix
half
is
the price of Netflix, half the price of Hulu. Yeah.
So, yeah, Shudder's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Okay. And then to close this out, we put a call out for some people to send us questions. Hear me?
I have the Instagram pulled up, so whatever you want to do.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I was going to do that's a really good question, but we're running low on time, so I want to table that one until next week.
All right, Alfonso, we will get to you next week, sir.
Yeah, we will get to that. It's a great question, but we're running really late. So, quick question for our friend Whitney: favorite ride at Disney Park?
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, but I haven't been in like 15 years. But that was always a fun one because you get to go through hell.
You end up in hell. That's how that ride is. And fun fact, it's one of the original rides that Walt Disney himself built.
Yep.
It's been there since the beginning. Haunted Mansion for me.
Oh, the Haunted Mansion's great. Yeah. Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
Love that.
I fear of heights, so no thank you to me.
See, I do too, but in a Disney produced ride, I don't feel like I'm about to die. I feel like I just get to have the thrill without being afraid of it.
There's just
what's the one that it goes through the Himalayas and there's a Yeti?
That's Matterhorn, based off the real life mountain Matterhorn.
Yeah, it's really fun because you go through the whole roller coaster and then you get to a place where the Yeti has torn up the tracks. And then you go backwards through the whole roller coaster. It's a lot of fun. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
Fun fact that the Disneyland Matterhorn, that's the number one injury ride. So most people get injuries is Matterhorn.
Oh shit!
Oh god.
Former cast member, I can tell you that's a fact.
My favorite Disney ride is It's a Small World. Because it's long,
honestly,
it's chill,
I like it.
You get to sit down and just relax. It's towards the back of the park, so by that point, I just want to be. I need a break. It's a good.
It's good, and it's short wait times always. My son loves It's a Small World. It's his favorite ride. He'll be like, "Can we just go on it for like 5-6 times in a row?" So I've numbed to it. So now I'm like, everyone's like, "Oh, the music." I'm like, "Nah, I enjoy it now because I just like I can fall asleep on that ride." And, my I think my wife's father would do the same thing, and he'd be like, "Yeah, let's go on It's a Small World. Like, let's just keep," because he would just fall asleep, and then they wake up and get back on it, and he'd fall back asleep.
That's a great nap strategy there.
See, I never went to Disney until I was 30. My first trip to Disney, I was 30. I loved it as much as the kids did. Like I
there's so much cool
everything.
stuff.
I had so much fun. I ate everything I could. Like it's a great time. So I don't need breaks. I'm going the whole time.
Trust me. After a while, you need to sit for a while. That's my.
I went with 4 kids last time I went. Okay, like we survived. We had a good
I was
time.
going like 4 or 5 times a week for like years straight.
Yeah.
But the reason we don't go anymore is because of the reservation system. We've made a blood pact with God. We said we're not going again till they fix that damn reservation system. But me and my wife used to go regularly, like literally multiple times a week. I'd get off work at 6. We grab the kids, we go there, or the kid at the time.
That's rad.
So I love it. Love Disneyland.
What else we got, Jason?
Right.
What else we got?
It's time to wrap things up. We've been going for almost an hour 40.
That's the only question we had on Patreon.
I'm saving the questions because we're running because we've
all right, guys. Next week we'll get to the questions. Thank you so much for asking them.
I just want people to see this podcast come through on their podcast app, and it says nothing but trouble and has a 3-hour runtime. That's what I want to have happen.
Oh my god, they have a lot to say.
Anyway, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people follow you?
So I'm at the Storytime Guy on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I really almost exclusively just post to Instagram. So if you want to keep up to date, do that. Message me. People message me, and they get really surprised when I message back. I respond to every single message that anyone sends me. I don't give a damn how many followers I have or don't have. You message me, you got a question, I'm there for you guys. Follow me in that. I'm at the Storytime Guy. I do content about Latin representation, Latin American history, folktales from around the world, Aztec mythology, horror movies, anything I want. I do movie pitches. I just do random stuff, and sometimes they get views and sometimes they don't, but I do it even if one person's like, thank you. That's why I do it. So if you guys have questions, you guys have requests, you guys go, hey, what about this? Can you talk about the Universal Monsters or whatever? I guarantee you when it comes to like Disney and Universal Monsters, there is very few people on this planet that know more about that stuff than me. So you got questions about that stuff, I'm there for you.
Nice. Well, pleasure having you as always.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate everyone for listening. We would really appreciate if you give us a rating review on iTunes, rating on Spotify, a like and subscribe on YouTube, and a follow at Dads from the Crypt Talk on TikTok. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.